Welcome back to AWD Arm Wrestling Dom. Of course, I'm Dom, and it's all things arm wrestling. Today, we got a special episode, interview, conversation with Fabian Colin, two-time national champ, hailing out of my home state, Colorado. Before we get started, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share, and do all that other stuff. All right, let's do it.
Fabian Colin, thanks for jumping on the show today, man. I really appreciate it. Before we get started, I just wanted to present your accolades and your accomplishments that you've done over the past few years. Just, recently, 2019, you're national champ, both the left and right hand.
Right.
You've won and placed in numerous tournaments over the past few years. You got some cool stuff coming up. You got a world tournament that you're going to.
Yep.
And I'm excited. Partly because you're in Greeley. I'm actually from Johnstown. You're in Colorado, so it means that much more to follow you and see your matches and stuff. So my first question is, how did you get started in arm wrestling, and what year did you get started?
I've always followed arm wrestling like everybody else, man. That bar arm wrestling, family arm wrestling, family events. What really triggered it, and I'm sure a lot of people had watched that Game of Arms back in like 2014. And I was living in Kansas at the time. And the show came on and just really intrigued of trying to get to a tournament or trying to get somewhere involved in it. I moved to Colorado in 2015, and I just did a bunch of research of looking up of tournaments, and they had a WAL qualifier over in Longmont. And with no practice, no training, just watching videos, YouTube, I just showed up. I entered, and I placed second in the amateur division. I think it was super heavyweights, right-handed.
What year was that?
2015.
2015. So that's pretty impressive, just to not be in arm wrestling that long and already start doing damage and stuff. That's pretty good. And then as far as your weight, do you fluctuate between 240s and 220s, or have you been mostly competing in the 240s weight class?
Yeah, 242 has always been a weight class I've tried to make. I've stuck around heavyweights in the first couple years, and just I've been the lightest guy in the super heavyweight class. So why not do a little bit more discipline in the gym and consistency and sticking with the weight class that's going to be more suitable for me.
Right. As far as your most recent victories, was that nationals, or did you have some other recent victories before?
Nationals was this year. I had a huge match, probably one of my biggest super matches, not just name wise but tough on the table, was with Chuck Young over in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I think it was in July. It was something he called me out on, that, he beat me at a tournament over in Douglas, and then he wanted a super match because the way we placed, I came back from the B bracket and placed higher than him. And so he called me out on a super match. We got that going, and it was super tough. It was one of my toughest matches and biggest wins.
Yeah, and I've seen you've competed with, you've been on the table with Leland and Scott and stuff. But before we get to some of the names and some of the chatter on social media, as far as your training videos, I've seen some impressive feats of strength. I mean, I think you were doing like 140 something pounds with dumbbells. Like, what does that look like as far as like how much are you doing in the gym, and how much table time you usually get?
The first couple years, I was going off basically gym strength,
Okay.
not knowing like any of the techniques and the training off of handles and of course, practicing on a table is the most important. I go to the gym 5-6 days a week, and I'm always working on strength. I incorporate, a lot of hand grip and arm wrestling training within 30 minutes after each workout. So roughly around 2.5 hours each week. And then as much as I can get on the table with people in my area, I take advantage of it. Some guys hit me up when they come in from out of state. Isaac Luna's back into it, so he's 40 minutes away, and I take any chance I get to be on the table with those guys.
Right. And I know last time that we saw each other, it was both Isaac and Corey Miller at his place
And another
doing
one,
some.
yeah.
Right. And that's right. There was another recent one as well. As far as competing with those guys, I'm sure you've learned a lot, especially over the last few years. What have you taken as far as just the experience factor and learned from those guys?
Knowing that those guys have accomplished what they have and they're great teachers, they show you your do's and don'ts, your offense and defense, your setups. Um, you have to another big name that I love training with that guys haven't seen too much of, but they know him for sure is AJ Henson. Is that
Right. I've heard about him.
I've traveled up to his spot, 3 hour drive just to have a practice one-on-one for 2.5 hours, and he's one of the most informational, in detail guys that you will ever come across. And I cherish every practice moment I get with him. So, I mean, that's another, huge name that those guys that when I get on the table, I try to listen as close as I can. And then I try to mimic everything that I see them do back when I'm, back at the gym or, by myself training.
Right. Absolutely. And you're a sponge, man. I could just tell you're soaking it in, trying to learn everything you can. Speaking of AJ, before I forget, in the Mountain West rankings, Corey Miller, he oversees all the rankings on that. I saw that, of course, AJ is number one, both left and right hand in the Mountain West rankings, and then you're just right there, ranked number two, both on the left and right hand. Have you competed with AJ on the table before?
Many times with down in New Mexico, Cheyenne, Douglas tournaments, Denver tournaments. I still that's someone that is a huge name that I'm chasing, and I'm making very slow gains, but I'm climbing up there, and I think that once I get a win across AJ, I feel like I'm gonna be even a bigger name and an elite puller, because that's how I look at and view AJ. He's up there with all the good names, and he's definitely a guy to get on your on your record as a win. So
Right.
someone I'm definitely chasing.
Right, definitely. And when I look at In the Hook rankings, and I don't know if that's the official ranking for the North American rankings, but it seems to be the one that everyone gravitates to, right? And I feel like when I see the top 10 in each weight class, there could be 20 guys that could fight for the top 10. And I definitely see you being in that ranking, and even seeing you going to the WAL, excuse me. And the last chatter that I saw on social media was a call out from Jonathan Bretta. I think you guys may have tried to set up a super match in the past, and may try to do something in the future. What's your thoughts on that?
I've never been at. He came back from Anaheim Nationals. A couple weeks later, he called me out and said he wanted a match right-handed, and to win when I went over there, and I ended up winning left. And he's a Southeast regional belt holder for left-handed. So if he wanted to, I would definitely go both hands. But I was kind of surprised. I definitely right away as I seen the name, I searched him and
He's
had
ranked number
looked
8 right now in the left
at
at
some of his
240s.
yeah, I looked at some of his matches, and I mean that would be an awesome match. I definitely would take it. I've yet to have a super match here in Colorado. I've went to Kansas City, New Mexico, Cheyenne. I went to like 3, 4 other states for all super matches. I'd love for it to be here, but hopefully it's something that's in the making here
Yeah,
soon.
I definitely seen something happen. Mississippi State just finished up, and there was a lot of great competition there. But just moving forward, so tell me about Romania, the World Championships that's coming up. Is that towards the end of this month, and what's your training look like for that?
I'm as much practice and table time as I get. Right now, Isaac is having practice
Right.
once a week, which is great, and he knows what it takes and what those guys over there train for, and all side pressure. We're trying to get ready for that. He's helping me tremendously. So is Corey. Um, it was a last minute decision. I got everything raised. I got t-shirts. I'm pumped. I'm excited. It's towards the end of the month. I'll be leaving, I think October 28th, and it's definitely going to be an experience, something that I'm looking forward to. I really don't get, you know, nervous until I get to the tournament and it's the day of. But right now I'm just trying to prep and train as much as I
Right.
can.
Right. And I may have asked earlier, but are you going to compete in the Colorado State here in a week and a half?
Um, I don't know. I'm not
Okay.
right-handed for sure. I'm saving. I'm only pulling right-handed in Romania. Left-handed, um, I may get in there. I definitely want to pull. It's hard not to, man. I've never been to a tournament and watched. I'm stubborn when it comes to it. I have to get in there.
Right. I definitely hear you that. So last couple of questions here. I just wanted to get your opinion on what would you think of the WAL, the recent 506, as far as the matches and stuff. There was all kinds of craziness going on. Favorite match, which was it?
Uh, I'm a big fan of Justin. I like, he's just a powerhouse for his weight class. Rob Vagent. He's been dominant, but I think as soon as Todd Hutchings goes back to that weight class, I feel like the hammer's going to get, pushed over to him. I think those two matches, I was surprised. I really don't get too involved in the female matches, but seeing that, the woman from Brazil, she dominated. She looked like she's a powerhouse. Like she was
Right.
amazing. So, but yeah, the Justin match was definitely one that I was looking forward to. The whole setup with Wall, it's difficult, and you're loading up, and they got movement all over the place. So it depends on what ref they got going on. Bart for the ones there, but if you go to qualifiers or tournaments here, it's the setups are a little off. So it's kind of hard to. You definitely have to adjust.
Yeah, and that's the same exact thought that I hear from everyone else. It seems like it's very, if you could take every advantage you can on the table, as far as I don't want to say cheating, but at the same time, you got to be, very aware of the WAL rules versus what it's like over in Europe. So,
Right. Yeah.
So good luck to you, Fabian. Coming up at the end of this month in Romania. I'm rooting for you, man. I already got one of your shirts. I may even buy another one. But I'll definitely try to get you back on the channel for sure, because I'm just so curious about, more of your history and some of your other matches too that I want to get into. But thank you for coming on, Fabian. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you, man. It's a great pleasure, and hopefully we get back to it when I get back from Romania and share the experience I have.
Absolutely, man. All right, Fabian.
All right, man. Thank you.